Indoor flowering plants just hit different, you know. There's something about walking into your home and seeing real color that instantly lifts your mood, especially on those days when life feels a little too beige. And the cool part is, you don't need a giant garden or a green thumb to keep these beauties blooming all year. A sunny windowsill, a little weekly care, and these plants will show off like they're on their own schedule. Some of them even bloom longer indoors than they do outside, which feels like cheating but in the best way. Whether you want soft pastels, bold petals, or plants that look like they're from another planet, there's something in this list that'll match your vibe. So if you're ready to brighten up your home without turning it into a full-time job, let's get into the indoor bloomers that seriously deliver. Peonies are one of those plants that instantly make a room feel more alive, and it's wild how much impact they have even when grown indoors. These big, fluffy blooms can reach up to 6 inches across, so you're basically getting the kind of color pop people usually only see in outdoor spring gardens. They're surprisingly manageable inside too, as long as you give them bright indirect light and keep the soil lightly moist instead of soaked. What makes them extra cool is that peonies can live for decades, some even hit 50 years, so bringing one home isn't just decor, it's a long-term upgrade for your space. And when those buds finally open, the fragrance alone makes your home feel like you've walked into a fancy floral boutique without ever leaving the couch. Blanket flowers bring this bold, sun-soaked energy into your home that instantly brightens any corner, thanks to their fiery red and yellow petals that look like tiny sunsets. Even indoors, they're pretty low maintenance as long as you give them a good dose of bright light. Around 6 hours a day keeps their blooms coming. They're also super tolerant of dry soil, which is great if you're the type who forgets to water now and then. What really makes them fun is how long they bloom. They can push out flowers for months, giving your home steady color instead of a quick burst. And since pollinators love them outdoors, you're basically bringing a little piece of summer inside all year long. Million bells bring a level of non-stop color that almost feels unfair compared to other indoor bloomers. These tiny trumpet-shaped flowers can produce hundreds of blooms at a time, and they just keep going as long as they get bright light and slightly moist, well-draining soil. They're basically the overachievers of indoor flowering plants, thriving even when you forget a watering or two. What makes them even cooler is their self-cleaning nature. No deadheading, no fuss, just continuous color like a mini fireworks show sitting on your shelf. And because they bloom so heavily, they make small spaces look fuller and more vibrant without taking up much room at all. Cleome brings this wild, airy vibe indoors with its tall stems and those spider-like blooms that look like they're floating in place. Even though people usually grow them outside, they actually handle indoor life surprisingly well if you give them strong light and keep the soil consistently moist but never soggy. What makes Cleome so impressive is its height. It can stretch up to 3 feet, turning an empty corner into a real statement spot without much effort. And here's the cool part, their blooms can last for weeks, giving you a soft, pastel color show that feels almost sculptural. If you want a plant that makes your home feel a little more artistic without demanding high-maintenance care, Cleome is one of the most underrated choices you can bring inside. Dahlias bring pure drama to an indoor space, and the crazy part is how many shapes and colors you can get from one plant. There are over 42 species and thousands of hybrids, so you can literally match them to any room vibe. Indoors, they love bright light and a steady watering routine that keeps the soil moist but never swampy, and with the right care they'll reward you with those big, layered blooms that look almost too perfect to be real. They're known for producing flowers that can reach 8 to 10 inches across, which turns even a simple tabletop into a focal point. And since dahlias bloom repeatedly through long seasons, you get that bold, showy color almost non-stop, making your home feel fresh and lively all year instead of just in summer. Shasta daisies bring this clean, cheerful brightness inside your home that feels like opening the windows on a perfect summer morning. Their classic white petals with sunny yellow centers are simple but insanely uplifting, and the best part is how easy they are to keep going indoors. Give them bright indirect light and water when the top inch of soil dries out, and they'll reward you with blooms that can last up to several weeks at a time. They're tough plants too, originally bred to handle different climates, so they don't freak out if you miss a watering or two. And because they can bloom multiple times throughout the year, having a Shasta daisy indoors basically guarantees a fresh, happy vibe that never really fades. Chrysanthemums bring a level of color intensity indoors that most plants can't compete with, and it's no surprise they're one of the most popular flowering plants in the world. These guys come in hundreds of forms and shades, from deep reds to bright yellows, and they're known for producing blooms that can last up to 6 to 8 weeks when grown in good light. Indoors, they do best with bright, direct sun and soil that stays lightly moist, and they're quick to show their appreciation with more buds and fuller flower clusters. What makes mums even cooler is their air-purifying ability. They were actually highlighted in NASA's Clean Air study for removing indoor toxins, so you're getting clean air and color at the same time. If you want a plant that instantly brings that fresh florist shop vibe into your home without demanding complicated care, chrysanthemums are an easy win. SUNPATIENS are like the indoor version of bringing sunshine straight into your living room, and they're one of the few impatiens varieties that actually thrive in both bright and moderate indoor light. These plants push out bold, tropical-looking blooms almost non-stop, and studies show they can flower for over 9 months a year when kept in stable indoor conditions. They're super forgiving too. Just keep the soil evenly moist and give them decent airflow, and they'll stay lush and full instead of getting leggy. What makes them extra impressive is how quickly they grow. You can literally see new buds forming week after week, so your space always feels alive. If you want a plant that brings color, energy, and almost zero drama, SUNPATIENS are the kind that make your home feel cheerful all year long. Hibiscus brings that instant vacation energy into your home with those huge, tropical blooms that can reach up to 8 inches wide, making even a regular room feel like a warm getaway spot. Indoors, they love bright light. Around 6 hours a day keeps them blooming, and they appreciate soil that stays evenly moist without getting heavy or soggy. What's really impressive is how fast they grow. You can see new buds forming almost every week when they're happy, giving you a steady rotation of fresh flowers instead of short-lived color. And here's the fun part. Hibiscus blooms may only last a day, but the plant produces so many buds that it feels like a new show every single morning. If you want a plant that turns your home into a mini tropical escape with 0 plane tickets needed, hibiscus is the one that never disappoints. Petunias bring this bright, playful vibe indoors with their soft trumpet-shaped blooms that come in almost every color you can imagine, from neon pinks to deep purples. What makes them great for indoor spaces is how long they bloom. Petunias can flower for up to 10 months a year when they get bright light and soil that stays lightly moist but never soggy. They're also super easygoing. Even if you forget to water them once in a while, they bounce back fast and keep pushing out new buds. And here's the cool part. Their sweet, subtle fragrance actually gets stronger in the evening, giving your home a cozy, relaxed feel after a long day. If you want a plant that constantly refreshes your space with color and soft scent, petunias are one of the most fun and reliable choices you can bring indoors. Coneflowers bring this bold, natural charm indoors with their raised centers and bright petals that look like little sunbursts sitting on tall, sturdy stems. They're tougher than they look too. These plants evolved to handle harsh prairies, so indoors they're incredibly forgiving as long as you give them strong light and let the soil dry slightly between waterings. What makes them stand out is their long blooming period. Coneflowers can keep producing fresh flowers for 3 to 4 months, which means steady color without much effort. And here's a cool fact. The plant naturally produces compounds used in immune support supplements, so you're basically bringing in a bit of wellness history along with the beauty. If you want a low-fuss indoor bloomer that adds height, personality, and a steady dose of color, coneflowers easily earn their spot on the list. Amaranth brings this quirky, cheerful energy into your home with its perfectly round, papery blooms that look almost like little colorful gumdrops sitting on slender stems. Indoors, they thrive with bright light and soil that stays lightly moist, and because they're naturally drought-tolerant, they won't stress if you miss a watering here and there. Their blooms are insanely long-lasting too. Each one can hold its color for weeks, making them one of the most consistent indoor mood boosters you can grow. And here's the fun part. Those vibrant flower heads don't fade even after they dry, so your plant keeps that crisp, fresh look without any extra work. If you want a plant that adds charm, color, and a little bit of personality all year round, Amaranth is a small but mighty standout. COREOPSIS brings this easygoing, sunshine-filled vibe into your home with its bright, daisy-like blooms that look like tiny bursts of summer sitting on top of airy stems. It's one of the most low-maintenance indoor flowering plants you can grow. Just give it plenty of bright light and let the soil dry slightly between waterings, and it'll keep blooming like it's on autopilot. What makes COREOPSIS especially impressive is its long flowering window. Many varieties can bloom for up to 4 months, giving you an extended splash of yellow without constant fuss. And here's a cool little bonus. Butterflies love them outdoors, so growing one inside brings a bit of that wild, joyful garden energy right into your living space. If you want something bright, reliable, and totally unbothered by the occasional care slip-up, COREOPSIS is an easy win. Cosmos brings this soft, airy elegance indoors with its feathery foliage and wide, silky blooms that look like they're floating on long, graceful stems. Even inside, they thrive with bright light and soil that stays lightly moist, and because they're naturally drought-tolerant, they don't get fussy if you miss a watering or two. What makes them really special is their long blooming season. Cosmos can flower for 3 to 5 months, giving your home that light, whimsical color almost non-stop. And here's a fun bit. Their blooms actually attract beneficial insects outdoors, so indoors they bring that same peaceful, garden-fresh vibe without the bugs. If you want a plant that adds soft color, movement, and a little bit of poetic charm all year round, Cosmos is one of the most underrated choices you can bring inside. Zinnias bring this bold, energetic punch of color indoors that instantly wakes up any room, and it's crazy how well they adapt to life inside when you give them strong light and soil that drains well. These plants are known for their fast growth and heavy blooming, with some varieties producing flowers for over 60 to 70 days straight, which means you get a steady stream of fresh color without doing much. They also handle dry spells like champs, so if you miss a watering here and there, they won't hold a grudge. And here's the fun part, zinnias come in almost every color except true blue, so you can match them to your home's vibe whether you're going for soft pastels or full-on neon drama. If you want a bright, hard-working indoor bloomer that keeps your space feeling lively all year round, zinnias are a no-brainer. Fanflower brings this laid-back, coastal charm indoors with its unique fan-shaped petals that look like tiny half-sunbursts scattered along trailing stems. Even inside, it grows fast and steady as long as you give it bright light and keep the soil lightly moist but never soggy. What makes Fanflower such a winner is its incredible blooming stamina. This plant can flower for months without stopping, giving you that soft purple or blue color that feels calming instead of loud. It's also super tough. Originally from Australia, it's built to handle heat and occasional dryness, so it won't panic if you forget a watering. If you want an indoor plant that brings color, character, and an easygoing vibe that fits right into any room, Fanflower is one of the most effortless bloomers you can grow. Verbena brings this non-stop blooming, summer fresh energy indoors with clusters of tiny flowers that look like little bouquets sitting on each stem. Indoors, it loves bright light and soil that stays lightly moist, and because it's naturally drought tolerant, it doesn't freak out if you forget a watering or two. What makes verbena especially impressive is its insane blooming power. Many varieties can flower for 6 months or more, giving your home a steady stream of color instead of those short burst plants that quit early. And here's a cool thing most people don't know, verbena's fragrance actually gets stronger in warm rooms, so it subtly scents your space without being overwhelming. If you want a plant that brings color, freshness, and low drama care all year long, verbena is one of the easiest wins you can bring indoors. Geraniums bring this warm, classic charm indoors with the bright clusters of flowers that can bloom for months at a time, making your home feel lively even on slow days. They thrive in bright light and like their soil to dry out a bit between waterings, which makes them perfect if you don't want a plant that constantly demands attention. What's really impressive is how tough they are. Geraniums can handle heat, missed waterings, and even cooler indoor nights without skipping a beat. Plus, their leaves give off a light, fresh scent when brushed, almost like a built-in air refresher. If you want an indoor bloomer that brings steady color, easy care, and a little nostalgic garden vibe into your space, geraniums are one of the most dependable choices you can grow all year round. And that's our full list of indoor flowering plants that can brighten your home all year long. Whether you're into big, bold blooms or small pops of color that quietly lift the room, there's something here for every space and every kind of plant lover. If you found a new favorite or got a little inspired to add some fresh color to your home, that's exactly what this video was meant to do. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more easy plant guides, and drop a comment telling me which plant you're bringing home next, because I always love seeing your pics.